Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to my workshop. Welcome to doing some of this today. It's good to have you here. Oh gosh, look at my hair, my hat. As always, rushing around like crazy. And you're going to get a very real experience today because I have not had much of an opportunity since last weekend, which was the Fan Expo in Philadelphia, to do really anything in the workshop. In fact, I had a whole rush going on. It was a crazy rush of trying to get my trap finished to take to the Fan Expo. That was a whole crazy thing. And so when I left the workshop, I left it in a bit of a mess, to be blunt with you. And so it was kind of chronic and crazy. And so yeah, so we're here. And we're ready to roll, and we're ready to do some stuff. And welcome, folks. Hey, Gavin, hello, welcome. Sven, hello, welcome. Good to have you folks here. So yeah, we're going to be looking at this today. And as you will recall, and maybe some of you joined some of the live streams I did last weekend, there was a whole thing going on at the Fan Expo. So I went there to Philadelphia. They gave me a press pass, so I was able to cover the whole thing. And yeah, it was a really, really cool experience. A lot happened. One of the cool things that happened, in fact, and I need to show you this as I jump out of frame, was that so I actually did some more work on this trap. And if you see here on the side, before, the sides of this trap were white. They weren't this color at all. And I was able to finish chroming them to make them look like real metal. And then add this block here, which wasn't on the original trap, which was a fun thing to do. And I did all of that in a rush. And Gavin's asking, did Adam sign it? There you go. That is Adam Savage's signature right there on the top of the trap. And so it was cool. I managed to finish all the modifications I wanted to do to this before I took it to him to have a look at and sign. And yeah, it was a fun meeting and a fun conversation to have. And the cool thing was I managed to finish. I don't know what state it's in because it's been riding in the back of my car back and forth from Philadelphia. But yeah, I was able to finish the interior as well, and you'll probably see a little bit there of the finish that I did on the interior. And hopefully the batteries are still working and we've still got some smoke going on in here. Yeah, look, it's doing its thing like it should. And it was robust enough to survive the journey to the Fan Expo and everything from there on in. So yeah, it was really good. And yeah, I'm pleased with how this came out and how it worked out and how it's looking now. And I think it's a bit of an improvement if you compare it to the original. Here's the original Spirit trap, and then right underneath it you can see here's my version of the trap. It's a slight difference. Slight difference there to how it was before. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I think it came out pretty well. Cool. So if you have any questions for me or anything about how that went down or what happened, let me know. And we're going to start doing some work. We're going to start doing some work on this. That's the hope. That's the plan. If you remember, I was right in the middle of trying to get the switch working and figured out. Hi there. How do I say no? Panzer, I'm going to say. Hello. Yes, welcome. Welcome to chat. Thank you for saying that you love the traps. Well, that's something you don't see every day. That is absolutely true. Good quote from the movie. But yeah, thank you. Yeah. So this is one trap that I've worked on, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff on my channel about building these. I have another one here, which this trap, it opens up remotely for the kind of stuff that I've been doing. We did a Ghostbusters experience and I used it for that. What was Adam's reaction? He chatted with me about the HasLab trap. He talked with me about it. And then we also chatted about our mutual friendship with Ben Eady, which was kind of fun to do. I've been editing that video today. So obviously there's lots of rules in the con and you can't film those interactions that you have with stars. But I'll get to share the little glimpses that I can show you of what happened, and certainly my reaction to meeting Adam, which was pretty crazy, pretty fun for me to see. Yeah, and Adam did a panel at the convention, which was really cool. So he was able to chat about Mythbusters and chat about a bunch of other stuff, obviously, that he's doing in his career, including the Tested channel. He chatted about that as well. He did a panel with Jen Meekum, who's somebody that I've featured on my YouTube before. I don't know if you know Jen, but she's kind of well known for short form video content and cosplay. She does those videos where she's kind of talking with Baby Yoda dressed as a scout trooper. It's really fun. But Jen was the one that did the Q&A with him, and I got a chance to talk with her again, which was really fun too. SB, hello, welcome. What is it? This is a ghost trap. If you're new to my channel, this is what this is. And this is a proton pack that I'm working on today. We're in Ghostbusters mode today. That's what we're doing. Gavin, that's weird you can't film stars. Yeah, that's a whole thing. I talk about it in my video, but when you go to a con to meet famous folks, part of that meeting that you have with them, if you want them to sign something or take a photo with them, that's something you have to pay for. So they don't allow you, the convention doesn't allow you to just wander around filming everything. So you're able to film when you're walking around and doing things, but you can't film them when you're with them. So because you're paying for that privilege of taking a photo with them. And the stars make quite a bit of money by doing that. So if you want a professional photo taken, it can be $300 per picture. So at the convention we were at, it was Hayden Christensen and Rosario Dawson from Ahsoka were there. And they did a combo photo with the two of them. I think it was $480 to buy that. So it is not cheap if you're going to the convention to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, any other questions you've got about me going to the con, let me know. We're going to start doing some work. Any questions you have about the traps or about where I am with building the proton pack, also let me know. Yeah, Gavin, you're right. Money is what it's all about, unfortunately. But it's if you think about it from a career point of view for an actor, like the cast of The Office was there, and a lot of those folks that were on The Office, don't necessarily do a lot of working gigs anymore. So coming to a convention and having people pay to get their signature is a good way for them to make money. So, hey Boxman, welcome. You're going to hear some noise now because it's a really warm day outside. I've left the garage door open, and you're going to hear my family arriving back. What have I done with the pack? So Gavin, I haven't done a lot since last time, and actually that was partly why I was talking about the trap. So when I was rushing off to the convention, I was desperately trying to finish this trap, and I showed this before. Sorry, I'm just going to step out of frame. So this is the original Spirit Halloween trap with all the white paneling. And before I met Adam Savage, I was really keen to go to the effort of finishing all of this to make it look like metal. So as you can see now, that plastic, I sprayed that, and actually I videoed the whole process of me doing that. So there'll be a video on my channel of me finishing this off, and I might do a special video just with me finishing this, talking about it, and then taking it to have Adam to sign it. So yeah, most of my effort was doing that, and then I also cut this piece here, which was laser cut, a piece of wood, and then I used that as the side piece, because if you look at the actual images of the traps, that's one of the things that's there. The other thing that I haven't done, I didn't get a chance to do it, but I do have them here, is to put the stickers on, the final stickers on the trap, to add the final some realization. There should be a sticker here on the top, and there should be a sticker here. Oh no, wait, here. But oh, there we are. Put it on camera, Matt, so people can actually see. So yeah, there should be a sticker there. And then there should be one along the back here, but because of the way I've designed this build, I haven't done that. So it's kind of sits across here. But yeah, because I don't know if you can see that. I put this panel on the back here, which enables me to add this piece. Gosh, not very good with camera angles today, folks. What is going on with me? What is going on with me? So I think we're going to pivot to working on the pack. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome. If you're new here, you know, click on the like button because you can. Oh, Francisco saying hire a DPI. That would be great. I need somebody. I do have. You guys know I've got like an AI on this thing that I sometimes use, but I'm not using it today. I'll show you though. I don't know if you've seen this. I find this quite cool. Hang on, let me just turn this on. So if you're interested in filming or doing any of this kind of vlogging stuff, there is a great gimbal called Hoem, which I use right now. And if you hold the OK sign up like this, it will then follow you wherever you go while you're talking, which is, you know, kind of cool. The only problem with it is if you move your head even slightly, it gets, you know, it's not a good look. You know, if you're trying to watch this on Instagram or on YouTube, you're like, oh, too much camera movement. So you have to hold your hand up to stop it, like I've done right now. Who makes the gimbal? It's Hoem, H-O-H-E-M. And I have to say, it's been great. I took it to the Fan Expo with me. It was really, really good. And I have a bigger version that you can use with a DSLR. Obviously, can't really show it to you because the camera's on the gimbal. But yeah, Hoem. I got it from Amazon, and it's very well priced. And I highly, highly recommend it. All right, so let's turn to the work on the pack. So if you remember the place we were at before with the pack, I was working on this bit here, which is called the ion arm. And I was trying to put a switch in it, and there's a few things that we need to do to get working on that. So first of all, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, I rushed out in such a hurry last week to Fan Expo that my whole workshop was a complete disaster. So I've kind of come into it just now. I've been editing all day the Fan Expo video so I can get it up tomorrow, because of course, what better Mother's Day gift than a video of the Fan Expo, guys? I mean, that's a great one, right? So everything is everywhere. So you're going to see the reality of what it's like to try and pull this stuff together. And if you're liking this content, if you're interested in this stuff, hit the like button, and yeah, drop a subscription. You know, let us know that you're enjoying this content. Spam the heart thing, you know, send an emoji. It keeps me motivated and focused as I carry on with this stuff. And ask me any questions you want to. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the bits I need. So I'm going to go over here and get this. So I have, this is probably not the best workshop approach, but I have these boxes that I keep with different projects. So when I've got all the little bits for a project that I'm working on, I kind of throw it in a box like this. So this is all the Proton pack stuff. So this is the ion arm. And you'll remember, if you watched the live stream a couple of weeks ago, that I was cutting this hole out here to put the switch in. And then this is the switch that goes in here, and that does fit great. And then what I realized was that there was this little hole here that I needed to create for that bump that sticks up. Anyway, there were a number of things that I need to do. So I'm gonna have to put a little bit of effort into finishing this switch off. But what I am pleased with is that the action on it is really smooth now. It works really well, so I'm pleased with that. Eddie, absolutely nothing wrong with that. I love working with trays and boxes. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, that's the way my brain works. And sometimes it's the easiest way to, when you're moving between projects and you've got plenty of stuff going on, it's sometimes the easiest way to jump between, right, I'm done with this for now. I'm going to put everything in a box. I'm going to put it together with that thing. And then I'm going to bring out another box with whatever it is that's going on. And so I kind of transition over and over from box to box in that way. So yeah, so I think the plan is to try and get this switch wired up and working properly. And I think now that I got everything the right the right way round. Because if you remember last time when I was working this, I was trying to remember which way the switch needed to go on this. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So let's get on with it. I'm going to make some space here. I'm going to bring the camera over. Let's see if we can do this cleanly in a way that works. And you can just see me kind of getting on with it. Here we go. Right, so I'm going to bring the camera down here, and so you'll be able to see what I'm working on. And oh yeah, I'm going to have to take this down a little bit as well, because if you remember last time, my gimbal did not like leaning over like this too much. So let me know if you guys can see that okay, or if you need a different shot. What are people saying in chat here? The Green Kermit, are you going to use a Hasbro 84 wand or your own? I'm actually going to use the Spengler wand, the HasLab Spengler wand, which I have one of. I'm probably going to make some modifications to it, which is, you know, how these things go. Yeah, but first I've got to organize this desk here. Too much stuff everywhere. Gavin says it's a good camera angle. All right, awesome. I'm happy with that then. Let's see where we get to with this. So, literally as I spoke about putting things in boxes, I'm going to put a bunch of things in other boxes here. This is going to go there. And then we're going to work on this bit here. Okay. So, now there's one other part to this, which is I realized that I put this on and then I needed to I needed to put the overlay around it first, which I didn't do, which is this bit here. So that needs to be put over the top of this, because as you can see, when you try and put it on, it does not fit properly. So I'm going to have to work on that, because that needs to go here, like this. Okay, let me see. All right. And the other thing I did is I took a bunch of tools with me to the Expo, unsurprisingly, as I was worried about having to do fixes on the trap and stuff like that. So yeah, I've got tools in various places that I didn't expect to have them in. All right, let's see if we're in a good spot with this right now. Here we go. So, in order for this to go on here, it has to go on this way, I guess. And then it can go in here. Which makes sense, right? And the other thing was, I think people gave me assistance last time and told me which way round on and off was supposed to be. Because I'm pretty sure that in that direction is on, and then this direction is off. It's that way round. Hang on, come on, get my brain right. So here we are. We're going to put this in this way. Come on, think about it, Matt. This is where I have to look for reference material, guys. What are you saying, Gavin? In Ghostbusters, the video game, you can change the thrower to different modes, and I think the Spengler wand has that ability. Oh, will I make my cyclotron change colors? That would be cool. I haven't planned to do that right now, but it is possible. Right now, my cyclotron is definitely set to red here. So everything is going to be red because these are red lenses that I put in here. But I do like the idea of using a color changing LED in order to be able to work on something like that. So that would be pretty cool actually. I hadn't even thought of doing that. But you're right, the video game does do that. So yeah. Sweet. Okay. So this is me now looking for reference material. Gavin's saying it was green, orange, purple, or blue. That's cool to know. Thank you. Right, I'm gonna search for Phoebe pack switch. There we are. I searched for it last time, unsurprisingly, and did find some good images of it. Okay, I think this was the one that I looked at before. You can see that one there. It's a good reference shot, and I think you switch it to the right to turn it on. And I'm pretty sure that this is then correct. I'm pretty sure that that's the right way around. So I'm now going to put this screw back in here. Get this bit back up and running. And then I'm going to have to use some epoxy or something to stick this outer surround on here. You know, tell me in chat if you're making a pack or you're doing something similar to this. Let me know. I'd love to know what you've done or what you're doing, what your pack looks like or how you've created it. Let me go back to this. Okay. So Francisco's saying, any tips on dulling the paint? I was using the wrong sealant and it's a little shiny on mine. Oh, yeah. Oh, hi, Ectotrip. Welcome. Yeah. Dulling the paint. Tell me a little bit more what you mean by that. Do you? Sorry, let me just put this camera back up here. Ooh, here I am. Yeah, by dulling the paint, I'd be interested to know what you mean. Do you mean just stopping it looking so shiny? I'm assuming is what you mean. I think sometimes that's to do with the kind of paint that you choose to use. So I think just be smart about whether it's in Britain we call it a matte paint, but I think in the US you call it like a flat. Let me show you. I'll show you the can of what I used here. So this is a flat enamel, which is the paint that I used for this, and the cap kind of shows you the outcome. It's going to be that kind of look. And then I've told you this a few times on the channel, but one of the best things for finishing the pack is a truck bed liner, which does give it a bit of a shine, but not a dramatic one. And then you can come in later and you can kind of go over it with other things to get the look that you're looking for. Parker, I do remember you. Welcome back. Okay, Francisco said you use a Rust-Oleum satin. Yeah, so the satin is kind of halfway between flat and shiny, so it's kind of in the middle. So there's a couple of things you can do. You could use a very, 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 I say very, fine sandpaper, or even like a scouring pad, you know, that you might use for cleaning like a pan out in the sink. You can use a scouring pad, and that will, in some cases, take some of the shine off. It just depends on where you're at, because it can add a shine too to a very flat paint. So I'd experiment in a corner and see if you can do something like that. Or the other thing, unfortunately, is that you might want to just try respraying it with a flatter looking paint. The Green Kermit, for my pack, I did my own thing on my power switch. I did on the top, because the Ghostbusters broke up and a lot easier to turn on. Okay. Yeah. No, I get so putting it on the top. On the top of this, or on the top of the pack rather than on the back. Hey, Cameron. Cameron's got an idea for a new Ghostbusters TV show. You come up with a lot of ideas, Cameron. That's awesome. I don't know if you heard this, but the actor that plays Zeddemore whose name is escaping me for a second, you'll tell me in chat. He just came up with an idea for a TV show as well. Ecto Trip's asking, am I going to make the Neutrino wand or use the Hasbro one? I'm going to use the Hasbro one for now, but I do have... I was talking earlier about the fact that I have boxes everywhere. I'll go get one of my boxes. So this is another one of the boxes that I have with bits in it. And this does have the pieces for a Neutrino wand in it. Because I've been working on that. I've got all the early pieces in here ready to go. So that's what I've been working on as well. Because, you know, the 3D printing takes a while when you do these things, doesn't it? So yeah, Gavin saying Ernie Hudson. Thank you, Gavin. I appreciate that. TG Playtime, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, Ecto Trip. Whoa, yeah. I mean, it takes a long time to print this stuff out. So you can see, look, I've got these that you will be a familiar part to you probably. And then this is the base, and then obviously this is a very obvious piece here. The thing with all of these things, and I'm sure if any of you do 3D printing, is the challenge is that the surface finish. Let me try and catch the light. You see all of that the build lines on it from the 3D printing. It's cleaning that up is the thing that takes the time. So even though it takes a long time to 3D print something like this, it can take even longer to to tidy this up and finish it off to make it look good. And it's not even going to show up on the camera. Oh, there you go. That's a great shot of all the build lines. You see that catching the light there? So the real job, again, if you're not familiar with 3D printing, and if you are, you completely know the pain that I'm talking about. But that job of going through there and cleaning all those layer lines out, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So I think I've got my switch in the right position now, I think. And what I need to do now is this top piece here has to be glued on. And I used super glue last time and that did not work. So I'm going to use an epoxy, a fast drying epoxy to do that, because I know that that's going to hold it in place and that's all going to work well. But before I stick anything together, I'm just going to check that I've got the polarity right on this. That's the big thing I'm going to do next. So I'm going to just take this this piece here on my pack and turn this around. See if I can get it to actually stay upright. I might have to put it over here. Let me bring this light over, you know, so we can see inside and see what's going on, but also so I can hold it in place. Come on, pack. You know you want to. You know what? This is a perfect example of the fact that these things are really difficult to keep in place. You try putting one up and they just want to roll everywhere. They're not a very practical shape at all. And if you're new here, welcome. We're building a Proton pack. It's good to have you. We're working on the buttons and switches for this thing right now that's going to go in the ion arm. If you like what you see, hit the like button or spam that little thing or throw something in chat or just say hi and I will give you a shout out and say hello to you, because people are always welcome and I love chatting with them. So so let me know. Let's see who we got. Sadistic Minds, hello, welcome. It's good to have you. Good to have you on the chat. Thank you for joining. Again, it's good to see you. All right, Ecto Trip is asking. Sorry, hang on. Here we go. I can't get rid of this thing so I can see what people are saying. Apologies. Thank you. Keep spamming that thing. I love it. It keeps me encouraged and focused. I appreciate it. Statistic Minds, hello. I said hello to you. Ecto Trip is asking me what LEDs I use. So I bought an LED pack on Etsy. And now I've balanced this. I'll move this. Hang on. I can move the camera. That's going to be easier. So what you can see here is there's a set of LEDs here. And then there's a control board in, let me move this light. There's a control board in here that controls everything with a battery. And then the switch comes to here. And so this switch you'll actually see I was doing something with this switch. I was modifying it to make it work. But anyway, the Soldering brothers, if you trying to build a pack of your own, the Soldering brothers have a fantastic 3D print model, which is the model that I'm using for this switch that now has gone, obviously disappeared because I'm trying to move things around on my desk. Here we are. The Soldering brothers created this 3D model for the switch, which is the one that I'm using right now. So I was originally modding something else, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace this now. But yes, so this is the piece that I'm using here, and I bought it on eBay. eBay? Etsy. I bought it on Etsy. And so yeah, it's a very long and very bad answer to your question, Ecto Drip. I do apologize. What are you saying? Let's see, what are people saying here? Ecto Drip, I've seen it on their Etsy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. TG Playtime, I have to go for a sec. I have to lay a new layer of paint on my ghost trap. Awesome. Good for you. Good for you. And if you're just here, welcome. Welcome. There's a lot of people joining right now. Welcome to the chat. I appreciate you guys being here. We're building a Proton pack today. If you've got questions about building your own Proton pack, or you've got ideas that you want to share with me, or thoughts that you've got about doing something like this, let me know. And we're going to get into it. So what I was doing was, I've just turned this around because I was answering Ecto Trip's question, which was about the LED system that I've got in here. So, but we're going to do something dramatic. So this switch here, I'm going to cut the cables on it, and then I'm going to check that the switch that I'm replacing it with is going to be in the right polarity. So this is going to be a dramatic moment. Drum roll, please, people. We're going to chop this off. And I don't know about you, but I always like leaving a bit of cable if you have to chop something. But here we go. I'm gonna, what am I doing? Don't even know how to use a cable cutter. Right, I'm gonna cut this. Dramatic drum roll, please. I hope you were making a drum roll on your desk or on your phone or wherever you are right now. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to strip these wires. So I'm just using a regular kind of wire cutter here, which is useful for these little jobs. And I'm going to put it on the, actually, I'm going to cut this wider here. Yeah, keep spamming the emojis, guys. I love that. That's great. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Yeah, if you don't feel like commenting, but you want to share your emotional state, you can do so with the emojis. So I've stripped these wires, and I'm now twisting them like this. This is where the switch was. And obviously, if I touch these together, the lights start working. So I'll just show you that. I'll prove that I'm telling the truth here. Touch the wires together, and it's going to work. And I do apologize that the touching of those two wires together is not as dramatic as that guy that you see everywhere on social media that electrocutes himself every day. I can pretend, if you like, that I'm electrocuting myself. But, so we cut those off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to very quickly, temporarily connect the lights, the wires to this switch here, so we can test that everything works in the right way. And this is not a permanent connection, okay? This is just temporarily. So if you see, what I've done is I've just twisted them around like this on the wire here, and then we'll see. Okay, that is good news. Except this is what I've discovered, right? So when you turn the Proton pack on, the switch is supposed to go in that direction. And here, that's on and that's off. So this is why we test these things, right? I'm going to have to take this apart, and I'm going to turn this around so it's this way. So that will then be on and that will be off. So that's what we're going to do. That's why you test stuff. Because often you build it wrong. So just switch this whole thing around. And if you're brand new here, hello, welcome. It's good to have you. My name's Matt. This is Experience Explorers, and we are building a Proton pack right now here in my garage. Or if you're from the US, garage. Or if you're posh and from the UK, garage. I think those are the three ways to say it. Tell me if I'm wrong. I know there's other ways to say it in other languages, but in English, those are the ways that I'm aware. And if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe. Welcome. It's good to have you here. Right, so I've taken out this screw right here, and then I'm going to pop this piece off, and then all we're going to do is we're going to just carefully swap it round like that. I'm hoping that that's good enough. And then we're going to screw that bad boy back in here like this. So here it goes, it's going back in. And again, if you're new here and you're wondering what this whole thing is, so this is the button for the Proton pack that was first introduced, visually at least, in Ghostbusters Afterlife. It was based on, in the first movie, you'll probably remember that when they're standing in the elevator and they turn Ray's pack on, I think it's Egon that turns on Ray's pack, you see him put his hand kind of in the area of what we call the ion arm, which is this piece here of the pack. But you never see the switch on screen. So, for Afterlife, they decided where that switch was going to go and where it was going to be. And so that's what this is. And because it's the law here on YouTube, you have to say, please like and subscribe for this insightful information about Ghostbusters and switches. Okay, look, we've done it. We've swapped it around. So now I'm going to rewire this up. So it's going to sit in the pack like this. This is the plan. I'm just realizing that putting the screw there was probably a really poor idea on my part. But anyway, here we go. So let's reconnect this up. I'll be so pleased if I've got this right, because then we can move on to the gluing. And you can see me stick my fingers together. So here we go. So that's it. It's good. I think we got it. I think we got it. Please work for me. Oh, now, see? What have I done now? I've broken the switch somehow. Okay. This is always fun. So I think what has happened now is, for whatever reason, this switch is now not turning anything on. Maybe there's not enough pressure in the switch. So I'm going to try screwing this in a bit tighter. Because the worst thing we can have happen is for the switch to stop being operational once we install it. Okay. Let's see here. Come on, you. Come on. No. And it's hard to know with these things sometimes, because obviously you've done this temporary wiring and you're like, oh, maybe it's just my wiring that isn't working properly. So let's see. Okay, so that is working now. So I'm going to loosen that screw a little bit because it makes the motion of the switch a little bit. Oh, Francisco had the same issue. Francisco, I can't remember from the last time you spoke on chat, but did you did the same switch, right? You had the same, used the same process from the Soldering brothers. Okay, yeah. So what's happening to me now is, now that that isn't tightly screwed in, I'm not getting anything working. So yeah, so this has to be really tightly screwed in, I think, is the answer to this conundrum. Like that, which now makes it work, but it means the switch is incredibly hard to move, which does feel like a problem. Francisco, what did you do? Tell me the answer to your question. And while we wait for Francisco's answer, please feel free to ask any questions you want in chat, or any comments you want to make in chat. Okay, that's a bit better. That's working now. Ish. It does seem, I'm going to say, a little dodgy. Is the way I'm going to describe that. As we say in England, just a little bit dodgy, innit? It's a little dodgy. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't speak like that normally. Apologies to my London brethren who do speak like that. I'm going to take the screw out and put it in the other way around because, you know, I can and I will. And that's how this is going to work. And if you're new here, welcome. Welcome to the channel. We are making a Proton pack. I say we're making one. I'm going to redefine it as we're attempting to make a Proton pack here. All right, let's try this again. This is an interesting conundrum is the way I'm going to describe this situation. Okay. And as I said before, if you're liking this channel, hit the like and subscribe, and also hit those emojis. Because I don't know if you noticed that the more you hit those emojis, the more it encourages YouTube to push it out to other people, because it shows you guys are enjoying the content. So help me out by sharing the love. Okay. Francisco's saying, I never solved it, sadly. It was meant for my electronics. They run on a push button switches. Oh, there's a quirk with the full-size electronics. They run on push button switches. Have to flip the switches twice to turn them off. Okay. Debated using a real kitchen light switch. Ha! You know, you say that. That is literally what I started with for this. So yeah, we're on the same page there. I think the challenge with this is just as you can see, getting this to do its thing. Because right now that is now working. But for whatever reason, when I turn this whole switch this way up, which is the way it's going to be up for everything, that's when it stops working. And I wonder if what I've done is I've been too aggressive with the modification of that switch, because it's definitely working momentarily, but it seems like it needs a little bit more pressure to keep it in place. Oh, the fun, the joy. Who knew that we were going to spend an hour trying to get a switch to work, hey? And this is another reason why you don't glue these things on first. So, yeah, I'm thinking that maybe that's an issue, folks. Maybe that's an issue. So yeah, we will see. We will see what happens if I change this around now. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to take this out. So the problem is if I let this drop, the tiny pieces inside the switch will drop out. So this little piece here, let me show you. That little bump there is the thing that makes everything do what it's supposed to do. And I wonder if I've been a bit aggressive in how short that is now. So I'm thinking that I might want to swap it with another one, of which I have many. So do not worry. Do not worry. While we're talking, I'm going to swap this back round, because strictly speaking, we don't need to see the back of it. Oh, Francisco got a red flip switch from Dollar Tree. That's awesome. Yeah, do send pics. I'd love that. That would be great. Yeah, send to me on my Instagram. I'd really appreciate that. Like I said, the Proton pack does not like to stay up here on the wall. It is not happy doing so. So this is the issue. This little piece here, I think, is not creating enough pressure where it needs to inside the switch. So luckily, I have a bunch more of these. And the question in my mind is, you see this here, this is the original. See that? That's the original and that's the new one. I'm thinking, see, the original sticks out more. I think that's my problem. I mean, I have many other problems other than just that, but I think that's my problem. So this little spring that sits in there is going to have to be recut And maybe I've got it's slightly too short, and it needs to be longer. Is what I'm thinking right now. So yeah, I'm gonna move the camera first of all, so you can see what on earth I'm up to. And I'm gonna try and make this change now. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take these two little things and marry them up with each other. One other thing I could do, I just realized, is I could swap the spring around in its location. Because that seems to stick out a little bit more now. Let's see. Let's see. All right. Yeah. The other thing with cutting the spring short is that, if you know anything about physics, obviously, the longer that spring is, there's more ease in pushing it down because there's more of the spring. You cut the spring shorter, and the pressure required to push it down becomes harder, essentially. And so that is an issue with kind of cutting that down to use it. But hey ho, I'm going to cut this one down, and we're going to see if we can replicate the experience with it being that high, because I think that it's just a couple of mil higher based on what I'm seeing here. So yeah. And for those of you that are persevering and are still here, like I said, hit the like button and hit those icons, and they send people here to watch the YouTube video. So if you're a fan and you want to help me grow, that is the way to do it. Okay, I've cut the spring. I'm putting it in here, and I'm going to see if this will make any difference to this switch, because I can't believe that this switch piece is the thing that's taken me this long. It's kind of crazy. Okay, that looks a better height to me on the switch. So now I'm going to go back to this, and we're going to see, and of course I've forgotten which way around it goes, obviously, because of course I have. Of course I have. That one terrestrial, hello. Just to let you know, I used a similar switch rocker for the switch mod. You will have to cut down the spring. I didn't for a bit, and it was a nightmare. Yeah, thank you for that. I have cut it down, but I think I cut it down too much, I think was the issue. So yeah. No, never mind. Thank you for your answer. I super appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, that is the right way around with this bit. This is the right way for this thing. Okay, that is looking better. I'm just gonna say that. It's looking better. Now I've got to find the screw that I was using, which of course has flung itself somewhere impossible to find again. Do you have this problem? Do you have that one lost screw problem in your workshop when you're trying to build things? This happens to me all the time, right? When you're building something and you're like, okay, I put the screw down, and now the screw has magically vanished. I think that there are little workshop pixies that come out in the middle of doing something, and they come and grab whatever screw that you've got, and they immediately, you put it down and immediately they move it. That's what I believe happens. That is what's going on here, people. At least that's my excuse for not having a memory that remembers where things are. Right, this is the right length of screw. I'm going to screw that in here. And let's hope that this all works now when I put everything together here. Next week on Experience Explorers, we screw in another screw. That is all that is happening right now. We're screwing things into other things. Okay, this is the moment of truth. At this stage, I'm not holding up a lot of hope. Let's see. Let's see. Oh! I was wrong. I should have had more faith in myself. That is good. It is a little stiff. That is the challenge right now. It's a little stiff, so I'm going to loosen this screw just a tiny bit. I'm pleased with that. Pleased with that. That does appear to be working, thank goodness. So, oh, super happy. Yay! I did a thing. All right, I'm going to twist these two wires together because I just like looking at the flashing lights, because of course, who does not like looking at the flashing lights? And now, we're going to use some epoxy to stick this together, because this is now a thing that actually works. It's amazing. So yeah. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this thing. Let us do it. Carlos, put a drop of blue blue Loctite so the screw won't go around and get lost. There you go. That's a very good idea. Yeah. In Britain we call it blue tack. But yeah, that's good. Or a little magnetic pad. I do that when I'm fixing mobile phones. When I fix mobile phones, you really don't want those screws to go missing. And because if you're fixing an iPhone, I don't know if you've ever tried fixing an iPhone, taking it apart and fixing it. There are so many little screws, and they're all different types, and there are different screwdrivers required. In fact, I have a whole drawer here. Getting distracted by tools. Why is this not coming out? Come out, drawer. I have a whole drawer here of tools for fixing iPhones. All the different screwdrivers that you need with all the different ends. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, I tell you. But anyway, yes. Right. So, like I said before, I used super glue originally when I was trying to do this. Now I'm going to use epoxy, because epoxy I know will work. I'm assuming some of you used epoxy before. If you haven't, here are a few things you need. First of all, you need the epoxy. Second of all, you need a pot to put the epoxy in. You need something to mix it with. And you need gloves, because you don't want to get that stuff on you. So while I go and get all of those things, hit all of those buttons, share the video with folks, and I'll be back in a moment. And you can stare at the Proton pack. And I'll just keep talking to you because, you know, I'm right here. I'm going to grab all the stuff. It's literally just off camera. But I have all these things ready because this is a process that I follow quite regularly, to be blunt. Okay. Right. Okay, here is all the stuff that I just mentioned that you need. So here's the epoxy. And a 5-minute epoxy, if you've not used one of these before, basically is two different chemicals that mix together. They create a heat reaction which hardens the substance. And so that enables you to very quickly glue something together. But in order to use the epoxy, you have to mix these two things together in a pot. And then they start to what we call kick. And you know when they're starting to kick, which is when they're starting to heat up, and all of that stuff in there starts to stiffen. So let's do it. So here's the pot. I'm going to put my gloves on first, because even if you don't get the mixed epoxy on your fingers, if it's not mixed, it's quite slimy and unpleasant, and yes, not great. Would be my way of describing it. Right, let's take a look at this. All right, so I'm going to get the epoxy, and we're going to mix this epoxy in here. So I don't need very much, but obviously I need enough to mix. And you'll see that it kind of just comes out of this syringe like this. And then the easiest way to stop it coming out, because it will just keep coming out, is to pull the syringe back on itself, which I can't do with one hand. So I'm going to just pull it back on itself. There we go. And then I'm going to put the lid back on. And then that stops the epoxy from drying, and that's it. It's as simple as that. Then the liquid that's in here, and this is a clear epoxy, but often epoxies can be mixed, which means that coloured, I meant to say, and that color mix shows you when you've fully mixed the epoxy together, because sometimes you don't know if you've fully mixed it, and you want to fully mix it, otherwise it's not going to kick properly or glue properly. So you'll notice here I'm just stirring this around and making sure that I've got everything mixed together properly here. Okay, that is it. That is it. And then what I'm going to do is, obviously I need to figure out how I'm going to glue this, right? So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the inside of this piece here, all around the edge, to glue it together. George, thank you for saying that you're enjoying watching the videos. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Thank you. And it's good to have you here with us. And as I obviously keep saying, if you're enjoying this, drop a like. Now, here's the challenge. I do not want to stick the switch to anything. So I'm being very careful to leave the switch itself out of harm's way in order to do that. And like I said, I've mixed up way more epoxy than I need, but part of that is that you need enough material to actually mix it. So I'm just dabbing this on around the edges here where the switch is going to hold on. And then what I'm going to do, once that's done, is I'm going to push that together like that. Now, the thing with an epoxy is, unlike a super glue, it does not hold in place. So in this instance, we're going to have to hold it in place. Or the other thing that we can do is we can put a bit of tape on it to hold it in place. So I think I'm going to do that in order to... Actually, you know what? It is holding. Seems to be holding okay. So what I'm going to do is, I don't want to move that. I'm going to use my vise here to just hold it in place like this. There we go. And of course, I've grabbed my gloves at the same time. You can't see this. Let me try and move this. This is funny. So this is a typical fun workshop experience. Look, I got my glove in the vise. So I'm going to leave that there to dry. Now, it's a 5-minute epoxy. So yeah, Francisco, it is an epoxy. It's a 5-minute epoxy. This here. But yeah, it should kick in 5 minutes. So right now you can see this is still, I mean, if I had other things to glue, this would be a great time to use this epoxy. And what I often find is I think, oh no, I've got to use this up. Or I've got to, glue other things. I often think I have loads of this left to do something with. And then what you find is you're halfway through a job and suddenly it starts to kick and it goes really, really stiff. And then you can't use it for anything anymore. And at that point, it's kind of too late. So, but as I don't have anything left to stick, I will use this as a subject matter visual idea. None of that is the right language. I will use this as an example of what happens when this stuff kicks. So I'm going to leave it there, and you'll see when it kicks. I'll show you what it looks like. George is saying that they do that all the time. Yeah, I know how that goes. Awesome. And if you're new here and you're just arriving, welcome. We are building this Proton pack. It's a 3D printed Proton pack that I've been working on for some time, as those of you that are followers of this channel will remember. TG Playtime is back. Welcome back. It's good to have you here. So while we wait for the epoxy to dry, this is an opportunity for you to ask me any questions. And earlier on, actually, when we first started the live stream, some of you might not be aware of this, but you'll be aware that let me start that sentence again. Some of you that have been following the channel will be well aware of me building these traps, because that's something that I do all of the time. And last week, and this is the video that we'll post on Sunday, last week I went to the Fan Expo. Thank you, Mighty Goose. I appreciate it. Thank you. Last week, I went to the Fan Expo in Philadelphia. All of you hearing my British accent will think that I'm in England, but actually I'm based in the United States. I went to Fan Expo and I took this trap, and you see this here? That is Adam Savage's signature. So, and any of you that are fans of Ghostbusters will know that Adam is a total fan of Ghostbusters as well. So I finished this trap build, videoed the end of me finishing it, and then filmed the whole experience of going and taking this to the Fan Expo and getting Adam Savage to sign it, which was super fun. Meeting Adam was pretty awesome. Yeah, he did a great Q&A, which was really, really cool. And he answered some wonderful questions. And again, if you like this kind of stuff, if you stumbled across this on your feed, welcome. You probably like things like at least seeing things being built, or traps, or traps. I need a brain transplant today. But you probably like things being built, or seeing things being built, or maybe you just like Ghostbusters, but you're probably familiar with Adam. And you might even be familiar with Ben Eady, that helped him build his Proton pack on his channel. And so I did a whole piece with Ben a couple of weeks ago. That's on my channel. If you want to see my interview with Ben, that was super fun. We get to talk about how he met Adam Savage. And then kind of literally the week after I released that video, I went to meet Adam. And it was fun because we got to chat about our mutual friendship of Ben Eady, which was kind of cool. And about traps, and about Ghostbusters, and about the new HasLab trap that's coming out, which is super fun. George is saying subscribe. Yes. Either subscribe, or thank you, George, for subscribing. Oh, George is saying, I have no idea what you're making, but I love DT stuff, so I've subscribed. Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate that, George. Thank you. I'm making a Proton pack from Ghostbusters. That's what I'm making here. MJ, I'm going to call you MJ. Hi. Are you a mechanic? I'm not a mechanic, but I'm a maker, is the way I've described myself. A maker of props and things and experiences. Now, we put this glue over here, and we were talking about epoxy and how epoxies work. So this has now kicked. So you saw just seconds ago, this I was stirring this. Now this has kicked. And you'll see that it's also gone yellow, and before it was completely clear. So yeah, and so hopefully that means that my switch, which is down here, that I just glued with the epoxy. Let's move this down here so you can see it. So I put that down here. This is the switch I was gluing with the epoxy. I'm not going to move that yet because I don't want to accidentally allow the glue to go, awry. But we'll be able to test it soon. We'll be able to see it soon. Let's see. Mew Mew Girl. That's a cool name. I like that. So exciting. Love Ghostbusters. The trap looks amazing. Thank you so much. Rebecca just subscribed. Thank you so much. Me too, Mew Mew Girl. Thank you very, very much. I super appreciate you guys subscribing. Yeah, and if you've got any questions about the trap, let me know. So this was based on a Spirit Halloween trap. The original trap that I based this on is actually right here, and you'll see a big difference. So this is the toy trap that you get from Spirit Halloween. It's really nice, don't get me wrong. It's a really great start. But then I modded this to make it like this. So you see the difference in the two. Here I am. This one is very different to this one, you'll notice. A lot of differences. And again, if you're new here and you're unfamiliar with my channel, you may not know that this trap has a little exciting trick up its sleeve as well, in that it smokes just like the traps do in the movie, because of course they should. That is what a ghost trap is supposed to do. So yeah, there we go. Right, let's see if my switch has dried. I don't even know if I want to touch this yet. We'll go down here. Noah's like, no ghost for sure getting this man. Yes, no ghost is. I have everything I need. Everything I need if I want to catch one. So, let me pan the camera down here a little bit more. Here we go. So, oh yeah, I'll come back to that. Tips on making the doors open. Yeah, I can definitely talk about that. Right, so this is the switch that I just glued. And yes, it's always I don't know if do you get that same thing if you're ever building something and you glue something? Do you have that like kind of horrible moment where you're like, oh crap, is this really glued or not? Is it really gonna hold in place? Now, the big test, though, is did I glue the switch in place or not? I didn't. Yes. Because what I was really worried about was that this bit here was going to be glued onto the actual switch, which would kind of suck, right? I mean, Rebecca, thank you for subscribing. I super appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. And welcome new folks. If you're just going through your feed and you're finding this live stream, welcome. We are building things. We're building a Proton pack from Ghostbusters. I can't even tell you how pleased I am that now works. and right, so sorry, I'm gonna get back to let's see. Sorry, I missed loads and loads of questions here. Apologies. Who was asking me the question? Right, Francisco was asking me tips on making the doors open. Okay, that is a great question. I'm just going to move this camera a second because I'm standing in a kind of awkward position that I was earlier on just to kind of get everything working. Okay, all right, so tips on the doors. So, I have 2 Spirit Halloween modded traps that I made. So this is the one where the doors open. And if you've got a Spirit Halloween trap like this, I'm not going to say that the mod is easy, but what I am going to say is that it is very possible to do. So you'll notice right here, you see these little cogs in here. They're connected to a box. And that box has like a spring mechanism in it. And what that does is it means that actually in the default state, the doors of the trap are actually open. And I'm not going to mess with this one because this one has a servo in it. But I will mess with it on this one so you can see. So when you press this button, you'll notice the cogs start to turn there. And then what you're doing is when that locks in place, what's happening is it's holding the doors in position. But the natural state of this device in here is for the doors to actually be open, which forces them up. There's springs inside it. So if you can connect to this, there's a rod in here that goes down into the trap and enables these doors to open. If you can get into this section here, which is what I did, and put a servo, and I'll show you the servo that I used up here. Okay, so I used this servo, which is quite a tough servo. I've got a number of different servos that I use for creating movement and stuff. I'll show you the smaller one I use as well because I like those as well. They're really good for fine movements and things. Okay, so this is the smaller servo that I use. And then this is the larger one, and obviously the difference between the two is pretty simple. This is not going to move a lot, right? And let me rephrase that. It will move a lot. What I mean is it won't take a lot of weight. So if you're trying to move things that are heavy, this is not going to work for you. But something like this, which is a bit tougher and has a lot more weight to it, that is going to move much more stuff for you. So when I did my animatronic dinosaur from Jurassic World, I used these for the eye movements. And then for the whole head to move back and forth, I used this much bigger servo. And so for the case of the doors on this trap, because they're... Oh, I keep picking up the wrong one. Because you have this pressure that you need to apply to overcome the energy of the springs that are in there to push that down, I needed a servo that could pull some real weight, and so that's the one I used. There's a whole video, Francisco, on my YouTube. I'm pretty sure that you've already subscribed, and maybe you've seen it, but there's a whole video on me adding this. It's called Toy to Prop. You'll see it. It's like on my homepage of my website. But you can go there and I talk about the process I went through, even how I mounted this inside using a laser cut piece of wood that's inside there to enable it to work. So yeah, so that's that. And the other video that's up on my website is the one that tells you all about how I managed to make this trap a smoking trap. So it looks like a trap from the movie. And so that was the other thing I did. Francisco is saying, love that video, thank you. I did a similar setup with a buck converter. Nice, good job. And thank you for the question, I really appreciate it. It always helps me to have good questions that drive me through talking about stuff. As you can tell, I get very enthusiastic about this stuff, I really enjoy it. So I'm always happy to answer questions and chat very openly about these kinds of things. So yeah, and again, if anybody on the that's watching right now has got any questions about modding a Spirit Halloween trap or what to do or any advice, I'm very happy to share my thoughts on it. But I love the fact that you can have a smoking trap. I use this, and hopefully all being well, what should happen is that you should see the smoke. See, it comes out of the trap like this, just when you're holding it. So it's like a, you know, like a trap in the movie. That's what it's supposed to look like, right? It's supposed to be exactly like this. So yeah, I actually used this trap on the street, and I told this story for a couple of times. There was I have a very good friend, and if you follow the channel, you know this, that has an Ecto 1 replica of the car from Ghostbusters. And I helped out a little bit with an interview that he did with the New York Post. I dressed up as a Ghostbuster on Fifth Avenue and ran out with this smoking trap to meet him in the car, which was you know, kind of fun. So that's the story of this trap. And again, if you're just arriving, this signature, I was just talking about it earlier, is Adam Savage's signature. He signed this, wow, about this time last week at the Fan Expo. So yeah, that was pretty awesome. Anyway, let's put the traps aside, unless anyone else has got any questions. And if you're new here, welcome. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe and smash that icon. You know, the one with the little heart where you can make fun icons. Just smash it, you know, because it sends the algorithm out to grab people and bring them here to join us. You know, the more the merrier, right? Nicholas, hello, welcome. Cortland repping. Oh yeah, well noticed. I love it. Yes, this is the Cortland Red Dragons. It's the mascot of SUNY Cortland University in New York State. And if you're a Ghostbusters fan, it's a bit of an Easter egg, because Venkman in Ghostbusters Afterlife, it says, is teaching at SUNY Cortland. So there you go. Well noticed, Nicholas. I appreciate it. Drop a sub, you know, because you can. George is saying Adam Savage is pretty cool. Yes, Adam is really, really cool. Meeting him was amazing. Evil Bear, hello, welcome back. Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. Nice to see you on the live stream. It's great to have you here. So, where were we? We were fitting this button now, which seems to be working, into the ion arm. And I'm going to move these traps out of the way temporarily, or at least into the background. I've got so many traps. And now, those of you that were here earlier watching me with the epoxy, so we used a 5-minute epoxy. Where on earth has it gone? Here it is. We used this 5-minute epoxy to stick this little piece on the top of the switch here to make it work for the Proton pack. And I said it was 5 minutes and it was going to kick. It has kicked. And you will see that possibly this this tongue depressor is going to break. Yep, before the glue does. That shows you how strong that epoxy is and how well that is going to work for what we're planning to do. So I'm going to throw this in the trash and I'm going to answer a question, and then we're going to put this in the pack. George is saying, no, you should rep the UK. Right. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is what I did earlier, was check that this is still working. Oh, you know what? I think my battery is depleted. And I'm going to have to do what I need to do at this point, which is just tidy up a little bit. So I'm going to put a few of these things away, out of the way, because we don't need the servos for this conversation any longer. I'm going to move this trap out of the way as well. And then we're going to get into it with the ion arm. And I'm just going to put my iPad back on so I can see any more questions that come through. And like I said, if you've got a question for me about building a Proton pack, about building Ghostbusters props, you're welcome to ask it. So this is the ion arm of the trap. The pack. I told you earlier, I need a brain transplant today. It's bad. My brain is bad today. Too tired. So this lives here. You should be familiar with seeing that if you're familiar with Ghostbusters props. And let me find it. And it will probably look more familiar when I put this on here. So this piece sits on there, and then that goes there like that. And that's how the pack looks, how it's constructed. Appreciate the hearts, folks. Spam those icons. Go for it. And hit the like button as well. That like button helps to pull people here from YouTube. So the plan is that this is going to go here, obviously. I mean, the plan should be to make it look like the actual pack. And then this button, this switch, I should say, goes in here. There we go. I can't even tell you how happy I am that that is in there. But now I've added that nut to hold the switch in, it does not go all the way into the ion arm, which is a pain. So I'm going to use a hot soldering iron to cut a little hole there to get this in. That's what I'm going to do, because I can. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to widen this end, because if you notice, that is not sitting completely flat, which I would really like it to do. What's George saying? You have a great shadow board. Okay, so there we go. Excellent. Right, so I need a hot soldering iron. So I'm definitely going to clear a little bit more space here, because hot soldering irons you don't want to mess with. I'm going to put these screws up here. I'm going to get the soldering iron, and we're going to plug that bad boy in, and we're going to get this rolling. And then I'm going to need to extend. There's a couple of things I'm going to do with the soldering iron. One is obviously solder some cables on to the switch, so we can wire it up effectively. And the other is going to be expanding the size of this hole here. So that's what we're going to do. Eddie, I think, has a question. You may ask a question or two about Frozen Empire behind the scenes videos you made. Yeah, absolutely, Eddie. You're very welcome to ask me any questions you like. And if you're a Ghostbusters fan, you know that they've just released Ghostbusters Frozen Empire on digital. I was expecting to see far more behind the scenes content for Frozen Empire in New York, whereas in reality there wasn't very much at all. And so I felt kind of proud that the content that's on my YouTube is probably the most content out there about the behind the scenes filming in New York of Frozen Empire. That felt pretty good to me. I mean, you know, you got to be proud about these things, haven't you? So yeah, ask away, Eddie. Ask away. Any questions that you have. And in the meantime, I'm going to get this soldering iron, which for whatever reason, I cannot find where it is, of course, because that's how these things go. Oh, here it is, literally right in front of me. That's also how these things go. Right, I just need to set this up safely because I don't want to bump into the soldering iron when I get it on, and then I'll come back to answering Frozen Empire questions. Okay, Eddie's question, let's see what he's asking here on the live stream. What rules do you follow when using clips, audio, music from the films in your videos? That is a really good question. So, and what Eddie's referring to here is that in my behind the scenes video, I have clips from various sources. So I have clips from the trailer. In fact, all the clips from the movie Frozen Empire were clips from the trailer. And then I have a clip or two of McKenna Grace from her TikTok. And then I also have some clips from the original Ghostbusters movies. So YouTube has what's called a fair use policy, which means that if you're using other people's content and you're not just duplicating and putting it out there and trying to make money from it, but what you're doing is you're adding value to that content. So you're either commenting on it or making a commentary about it, or you're using a small clip of it in order to talk about it, then YouTube are okay with that. That's not considered a breach of copyright, because what you're really doing is you're creating a piece of work which is about commenting on that thing that's already been made. But if you were to just take the content straight as it is and put it up there, then that's a problem. So yeah, so that is my answer to you, Eddie. I don't know, hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, so ask me more. Ask me more if you need to know any more about it. Is there a length rule that you follow in terms of including things? So there isn't a rule, but my rule is that I try to keep things short if I'm using them. The only exception that I made to that was my most recent video that I did with Ben Eady, when we talked about him meeting Adam, and we used a longer clip that showed him his first meeting with Adam. But you'll notice in that video I didn't use any of the audio from that clip, and it was us talking and our faces talking about what we were seeing, because the last thing I'd want to do was like steal any of Adam's content for sure. But because that was a conversation that we were having about something Ben was in, he was literally featured, and about what that experience was like, that was fine. And it wasn't just copying Adam's content, because, you know, and I think there's an interesting debate growing about how much commentary content there is out there. So, you know, commentary, sometimes just like popping up and saying something and then stealing somebody else's content, not up for that. But as you'll note in my behind the scenes video, really all I was doing was, this is the footage I shot, let's see how it compares to what happened in the real world. So yeah. Hopefully that answers your question, Eddie. I hope it does. It's a good question, by the way. It's a really good question. So, let's make this change to this. I'm going to move the camera here so you can get a better look at what I'm going to be doing. And then, let's move this to the side a little bit. In fact, I might just put this over here like this. All right, so what we're going to do now is, as I said, to remember that this is the way the switch is going. It's going to face in this direction. And then we need to just make a little bit of a hole here. So I think my soldering iron is good now. And again, let me know if I need to move the camera any closer. Like this. Let's work. Eddie's asking another question. That's totally fine. I'll come to it in a second, but I'm just gonna make this little cut here. 35 seconds PM.
By the way, you have a new notification.
I don't know why Alexa's just decided to speak to me. Obviously thought I was speaking to her. So, and it's worth noting, by the way, I'm melting this plastic. This is PLA, so this is 3D printed plastic. So melting this and heating it up, you'll notice I'm not wearing a mask right now. I could, maybe I should, but PLA is a fairly safe material to melt. If you were melting something like this that was made in a factory, that's a much less safe material. So I would not advise that you use a soldering iron to melt a toy without using a mask and without having adequate ventilation. I have got the garage door completely open right now, so yes. Right, so that's that done. Now what I'm hoping will happen now, based on that, is that this little bump here on the switch will fit in. Okay, needs a little bit more love, I think. That is okay. This is how these things go. Eddie, I promise I'll come back to your question in a second. So almost there. The only thing I'm seeing now, I mean, that's a great fit. So first of all, I'm pleased with that. The problem that I'm getting here is, can you see this? See there's that big gap underneath it? And I'm not entirely sure what is the cause of that gap. So I'm gonna have to do some playing around with that. Because it feels to me like that is going in all the way. But something is stopping it from fully going in for some reason. You know what it might be? See this lip here? What I might have to do is just get this here, get a Dremel, and just tidy it up a little bit. Because obviously when you melt this stuff, there's a lip that's created. There we go. Okay, all right. Let us see if that has made any difference. It has not. It has not made any difference, which is intriguing to me. So, let me try a bit of filing here. Yeah, I think it's still that section there that's holding it up right now. Right, well, I do that. I'm going to try and answer these questions. Eddie was asking, oh. Eddie's saying, my video and audio cut out completely when you were saying there's a debate going on about commentary content. Yeah, no, it's fine. What I was saying about that was, when I say a debate, I mean people not necessarily liking the fact that some folks will just take somebody's video and then say one thing and then completely copy the content. They're not really adding any value to that content. So there's the fair use policy is about adding value to the content that you see, but just taking something and completely copying it, reposting it and saying, look at what Matt said, and then taking the whole video isn't really, I think is very debatably a copyright issue. Hopefully that helps. Rudimentary, keep it going, man. You're the best. Thank you, Rudimentary. I appreciate it. Sophia Chalk, hi. I'm good, thank you, Sophia. Welcome. Ed, sorry you're late. You had Comic-Con today. Which Comic-Con did you have, Ed? I was literally just talking about going to a Comic-Con myself last week. That's what I was doing. So yeah. Anyway, the other thing we're going to do with the soldering iron out here, I'm just going to place this here, is it's a good opportunity for us to solder these little pieces here. So I'm going to, whoops, get the camera work right, Matt. Come on, you can do it. So what I'm going to do is keep checking if I've managed to get this switch to go down all the way. It's closer. It's getting closer. I'm filing this out here, by the way. If you just arrived, filing this out so I can fit this in. So it goes all the way down. That's what I'm trying to do. It's getting there. It's getting there. It's almost there, look. There we go. It's almost there. Almost there. And it feels like it might need a little bit of patching and respraying around that point. I'm okay with that. I can do that. But yeah. And if you weren't here last week, or sorry, 2 weeks ago when I last did this, I was saying that this hole obviously had to be cut completely from scratch because the original design did not accommodate a switch like this. So that is why we're doing this. And then I will use, as I've done before, some epoxy to hold this switch in place. I might actually use hot glue in reality, because for all the reasons that you've just seen with epoxy, what we don't want to do is have that necessarily be permanent, because if the switch breaks and I need to fix it, then, you know, we've got a problem. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to solder this piece up now, here. And welcome, if you're just arriving at the channel, welcome. This is Experience Explorers. This is me, Matt, and I'm building a Proton pack. That's what you see in front of you here. Building a Proton pack and, you know, trying to get the work done on it. So what I'm about to do now is I'm taking this cable, this switch here. I'm gonna cut these wires off. This is just a little patching cable that you can use for various things, but I'm gonna use it just as a flat cable. So I'm gonna cut these bits off on each end because I just need that cable, and then I'm gonna use my, what was I saying earlier about pixies stealing your things? I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna chop it down so I can solder my cables together. That's what I'm gonna do now. And welcome to the channel. If you're new here, it's good to see you guys. Oh, the Solar Mind is here. Hey, the Solar Mind, welcome. It's been a while, nice to see you. Thank you for joining the chat. What's going on with you right now? And if any of you got questions, I know that when we do these live streams on in this vertical format, there's like quite a rotating population. But I know that there's also some people that stick through the whole thing, like Eddie. Thank you for being here. If you've got any questions that I may have already answered, I'm happy to answer again. I went to Fan Expo last week, met Adam Savage. That was super cool. If you've got any questions about that, I'm literally, well, not literally right now, but have been today in the process of editing that video. Oh, Ed's going. See you, Ed. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here so long. Yeah, it is getting late in the UK. And also in the UK, you're going to be able to see the Northern Lights tonight. So go watch that. Right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this switch and I'm going to wire this up with these two wires. I'm going to actually make these a little bit longer because I think I need to. And if you're new here and don't know what is going on, I'm building a Proton pack right now from Ghostbusters. That's what's happening right here. The Solder Mind is saying, certainly watching Frozen Empire for the 4th time. Have you got it on digital now, the Solder Mind, or are you still watching it in theaters? Because I know in the United States and in the UK, I think Frozen Empire's just come out on streaming. I'm happy to have a chat about the special features on that. Again, if you're new here, you may not realize, folks that have joined us, that on this channel, there's a lot of Ghostbusters content, and I have a whole behind-the-scenes video of what happened in New York when they were filming in New York. And I was very surprised when I watched the special features of Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which were really great, by the way, that they didn't have really anything covering the shoot in New York. And I was like, that's literally the stuff for that is on my channel. That's where you'll find it. Right, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take... You know what I just realized? I think I might even have some connectors for this. Do I actually have connectors? I freaking do. Look, I've got some spade connectors that will go on there. Oh, but you know what? I bet if I put... Will those fit in here? Here's the question, because there's a tiny little space here. The spade connectors will just fit. Just. They will just fit. Oh, I don't know if I can be bothered. I'm going to just solder this. This is how this is going to go, folks. This is, you're seeing me here. This is impatience in me, which is, you know, not a good trait. But sometimes it really helps to get stuff done. So what I'm doing is I've taken that wire and I'm now winding it around the spade connector, and then I'm going to solder it in place so that there's a nice clean connection. That's what I'm going to do because I can. Here we go. And in order to help me do this, I'm probably going to use the assistance of my vice over here. Oh, the Soul Mind is watching it on digital. That is awesome. All right, I'm going to move my camera. Give me 1 second, folks. Because as I was saying earlier, my workshop's in a bit of a mess because I left in a super hurry to go to the convention last week and to meet Adam, which was super awesome. But that meant that I didn't tidy up as much as I typically would. Okay, let's see. Can you guys see that? Let me know if you can't. Let me know if that's a problem for you. So I'm going to take the switch. I'm going to throw it in my vise, yeah. Here we go. Boom. And then that means we can solder these bits. And I just realized I think that my soldering iron needs a longer cable on it for soldering in this position. Of course. Kirsty, welcome. Love your videos. Thank you, Kirsty. I really appreciate that. Thank you for saying so. And, you know, if you're new here and like Kirsty, you like this, then, you know, drop a like. Hit that emoji button that shares all those hearts and exciting things. And it sends more folks here to this YouTube video to watch it. So, I'm going to solder this, but my soldering iron I don't think is going to reach. Oh, I am wrong. Just. With a bit of enthusiasm, it's going to reach. Okay, awesome. That's good. That's a good sign. So I'm going to put my soldering iron there. Now we need solder, bizarrely, and flux. Now, if you've not done any soldering of any kind before, this is a top tip for you. So this is called flux. It comes in lots of different forms, but basically what it does is it helps the solder get to where it wants to go, because sometimes when you're soldering, you will find that the solder just rolls off the metal that you're trying to solder it to. So it can be very, very helpful to have a bit of flux. And there's lots of different methods for flux, but this is, I find, really useful because you can put the flux in the place that you want to put it. I'm also going to grab this. And again, if you're new to soldering, you might think, what on earth is this? Well, this is to clean the end of your soldering iron. You kind of push it into this wire wool type stuff, and it helps clean the garbage off the soldering iron. Okay, so I don't have a lot of give on my... I wouldn't normally solder in this position, to be blunt, but I'm doing it so you can see it. Pocket Pixel, you're the best. Thank you, Pocket Pixel. I really appreciate that. Thank you for saying so. Okay, let's try this. How many people on YouTube are going, I hope Matt burns himself, because it will be fun to watch. I mean, I don't blame you, to be honest. I was saying earlier that I really like that guy, you know, the guy that does stuff with electricity and electrocutes himself all the time. It's very funny, but it must be very painful for him. All right, let's see. So what we want is for the wire to be firmly in position, and that wire is firmly. It's a very messy solder, not my best work, but you know, it's going to be inside. Nobody's going to see it. And to be honest with you, I get to this point when I'm doing projects like this where I'm just rushing. I don't know if you know what that feels like. You know, when you're just like, I know that I could do this differently right now, but I really just want it to be done. Okay. And I've been working on this Proton pack for ages, and for a number of reasons, partly because I've been covering other stuff on my YouTube, and because doing it well takes a long time. It's just taken me a long time to do. So, all right, that's looking good. That's in a good spot. I'm pleased with that. Now, here's one other thing that I am going to do. So, it's unlikely to be much of an issue in this scenario, but just because it helps tidy up that mess that I've just made, I'm going to take a heat shrink cover that should fit over that. Let's just see, maybe the smaller one would be better. There we go. And again, if you're unfamiliar with this is basically a material that you can put over electrical connections. It slips over the wire, and then we'll kind of hold it in position like that. And it also helps to give a bit of strength to it as well, because if there's any pressure put just pulling on that can be an issue. So I'm going to cut this to about that length, and the same length there. I'm also going to move my soldering iron out of the way so I don't burn myself, which has happened. Hit the like button if you've burned yourself soldering in the past. Pocket Pixel is saying, you inspired me to make stuff like you. That is awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. Love it when people get inspired to make things. Sorry, I just realized I've missed loads of comments. What are people saying? You gonna call from Tio the Riddler? Hello, welcome. Solder Mind, why isn't the power cell light on? Ah, that's because my battery's running flat. That's the reason why. Pocket Pixel, can you say that again? You're the best, Pocket Pixel said. What shell am I using? Kirsty. I am using... Sorry, is that Kirsty or Christy? Kirsty. Sorry. Kirsty. I'm using the Q-Pack. It's the version 4 Q-Pack, the 3D printed version. Yeah, so those are the answers to those questions. So, if you're fresh at this, or not new to this, so what I'm going to take is this electrical shrink stuff. I'm going to put it over the top of these cables, like this. Like that, you see? And then what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to heat it. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. I'm going to do it with a lighter. So we're just going to take this, and you'll see that very quickly as you heat it up, it starts to shrink a little bit. There it goes. I'll give it a rest for a second and then heat it a little bit more on that side. And basically what it's supposed to do in heat is it will shrink to the size of whatever you've got in there. You have to be a bit careful, especially with these tiny wires like this, because you can melt the outer side of the wires, which is what I'm starting to do there. But that's basically the idea. Like that. There you go. And so now I've got my two wires connected up, ready to go on that switch. And the other thing that you can sometimes do with situations like this, if you want to, is hot glue is another good way to add a bit of strength. So you can put a blob of hot glue on your connection, and then that makes kind of everything sit together. You'll see that in professional circuit boards all the time, actually, in things like this. So cool. And yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at the chat here. And yeah, feel free to ask me any other questions. If you're new here on the chat, I'm working on a Proton pack, Ghostbusters Proton pack. I'm just building the switch piece that's going to go in the ion arm. Kirsty's asking, I have the Spirit Halloween pack and I mounted the Spengler one to it. Oh, that's great, Kirsty. I really think the Spirit pack is a terrific base for doing work. I have the Spirit pack as well. And I haven't done much in the way of mods on it, but that's my next thing that I'm going to do probably on the channel. How am I going to make the Proton pack sounds work, says Proton Strike. I'm really sorry about the really loud birds, by the way. I've got the garage door open. This is a beautiful day, and so it's really nice. For the sounds, there's a couple of things. It's a great question. Let's talk about sounds for a second. So, a couple of people have asked me about what wand I'm going to use with this pack. So I'm going to use the Phoebe Spengler wand that HasLab made, and that has really great sounds built into it. But there's other stuff you can do. So here, give me a second, you can get stuff like this, and this is if you want to go really simple, right? So you can go on Etsy and you can buy a whole sound system for this, and there's some really good ones, right? So I'm not suggesting that what I'm going to suggest here is the only way or the best way to do this, but what this is a little sound chip. It's for toys, and what you can do is it's a speaker, it's got a USB socket on it, and what you can do is you can create an audio sound that is triggered by this button. So you can have that connected to your switch system. So it won't work with this particular switch because this is only a single pole, but you could create a switch that had another pole in it, or you could have another button. I was thinking, and some of you have asked me about this in the past, of putting the larger switch here. Hang on, let me move the camera a little bit. There's a larger switch here that can go on this pack here on the crank box. Yeah, so anyway, you could use that for the audio, but you can then take audio of an actual pack and use it with this. So that is an option. I'm not saying it's the option because there's lots of other options out there. But that's an option, and I have plans to use this. I built an animatronic dinosaur that was part of a live experience that we did here a couple of years back. And when we had it in situ for the live experience, there was obviously a big soundtrack and a whole bunch of stuff. And so the dinosaur was roaring, and it was all part of the soundtrack of the experience. But I moved it, and it's in my geeky basement now. And the animatronic still works. So, in fact, I've got it connected to Alexa of all things. So I'm not going to say it now because there's an Alexa in this room. But you can say, Lexi, wake up the dinosaur, and the animatronics come on and the lights come on and it's spotlit. But it doesn't make any audio, so I was going to use this as a thing to help add audio, and actually I was going to add it to an amplifier to make that louder. Let's see what people are saying. So that was the answer to that. Pocket Pixel, thank you, Pocket Pixel, I appreciate it. you saying that, yes, if as Pocket Pixel is saying, please, if you like what you're seeing or you're interested in any of this stuff, this isn't only what I do. So I have a bunch of Ghostbusters stuff on my channel. Just finishing my edit of the Fan Expo video where I met Adam Savage just last week. And I do everything really. My interest on my channel, it's called Experience Explorers, is exploring other people's creativity and my creativity, and getting inspired by going to a convention or going to a theme park or going to a movie, and then coming back and taking that inspiration and allowing that to inspire my creativity. So if you like the idea of that and you're that kind of person too that gets inspired by something that you see someone else do to do your own thing, you're gonna love this channel. This is the channel for you. So hit like, hit subscribe, and you know, we talked about the traps. There's a whole video on making your own trap. There's my behind the scenes stuff of Ghostbusters, and there will be on Sunday, as a Mother's Day gift to those mothers amongst you, there will be a Mother's Day gift of me, the whole experience of the Fan Expo. So Proton Strike is asking, how much will it cost to build the whole thing? Because the ones in Hasbro are going from 400 to 1,000. Yeah. So if you, the HasLab pack, which is a beautiful pack, by the way, is really great, but now limited, hard to find, and expensive. And so making something like this, there's a couple of things that you need prerequisite wise. So you're obviously going to need a 3D printer to print this, or you can buy the parts from somebody that 3D prints them for you. You know, you can get a 3D printer now for around $200. And then the PLA, which is the stuff that you use in the printer to do the printing, is between 12 and 15 bucks a reel, which isn't very much. All the plans for this are free. The instructions you pay for, but it's very cheap. But then it's just going to take a lot of time and energy. And obviously, there's all the extra bits that you need to add. So I was showing this last week. Let me find it again. So depending on how you want to make your pack look, there's stuff like this, which is the ribbon cable. This is a beautiful, I featured this last week, and nobody's paying me to say this, by the way, but CNA prop design. This is a beautiful, beautiful original Ghostbusters cable. Absolutely fantastic. And the cable that they used on the original packs, you literally can't find it anymore, and nobody really knows what the cable was. So this is a replica of that cable, and it is just beautifully done. Even comes with an aluminium or aluminum, if you're from America, clip that goes on the body of the pack, which is going to go here like that. And I can't wait to install this. I said this 2 weeks ago when I was still working on it, which is why I'm trying to get it done. I should stop talking and get working. But anyway, look, so back to the point I was making about sealing up these things on the Switch. Oh, and sorry, I hope I answered your question about the cost of the pack. This is not going to cost you $1,000. I think by the end of this process, this will probably have cost me about $300 to make this, if I count all the materials, if I included the 3D printer. So yeah. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's see, what else are people saying? Okay, sorry, so many questions here. Very happy to answer them all. Emmett. Hello, Emmett. Welcome. How would you attach a speaker to the Spengler wand? That is a really good question. I mean, the Spengler. Oh, do you mean how would you? Oh, I'm with you. The control of that to the Spengler wand. So, in my view, what I'm planning to do with that is have a switch on the pack that does audio only on the pack. So that would not be connected to the wand. But if you wanted to do that, one of the cool features of the Afterlife pack you'll notice is there are additional cables running down the pipe, and you could run that cable on the edge of your wand to some kind of switch at the handle. That's probably what I would suggest. I don't know exactly how I would do that, but that's what I'm envisioning. Rebecca, did you make the props or just do you make the props or just remakes? So I don't make the actual props for Ghostbusters, but Ben Eady, my very good friend Ben Eady, did make those props, and there's a whole video of me chatting with him. I have to say that he's been really helpful in giving me guidance on these prop builds, so that's been really cool. So yes, I didn't make them for the movie. I'm making replicas. But thank you for even thinking that I might have done that. I super appreciate that. Kirsty is saying, I need some help to make the spirit pack into the one from Afterlife. Okay, that's a great question. So when I was at the fan convention this weekend, I met a group of guys that were from Philadelphia and from the New Jersey Ghostbusters. And there was a guy there whose name completely escapes me at the moment. I'm so sorry if you happen to be watching this video. Really nice guy, had taken the spirit pack, the full-size spirit pack, and done the mod. Particularly the mod that people like to do is on the spirit pack, if you've got a spirit pack, the cyclotron, which is this bit here, does not have this curved edge. And the bumper, you see how you can see through the bumper, which is this bit here? That's all one cast piece. And the other thing about that pack is that there's a little set of holes on the front here which are designed to let the sound through from the speaker. And so that's one of the things, that's I think one of the few things that makes that pack not look realistic. And finally, this, if I can get the camera, the crank handle, which is this piece on the top here, is also a molded part on the pack. But there is a great 3D print STL file that you can find, and instructions on how to 3D print the bumper and the cyclotron and replace them on the spirit pack. And that is definitely something that I'm planning to do with mine. I love the spirit pack. It's so light and simple. It's a really, really great pack. Emmett's asking, where can you download the files for the pack? So if you look for the Q pack, if you just search online for the Proton pack Q pack, you can find STL files. They're in a specific place. The web address I can't remember off the top of my head. There's also a fantastic group called the Ghostbusters 3D Printing Group. They're a Facebook group that I belong to. Such a good community of folks, all focused on just chatting with each other. There's even a WhatsApp group that I'm subscribed to, people sharing their work on their packs and what they're doing. Proton Strike is asking one last question. Are you going to make it look old because of the Ghostbusters movie? The Proton pack looks old. So my plan for this one is to make it look somewhere between the 1984, the original pack, and the Afterlife pack, which looks old. But yeah, that used universe is something I'm a super fan of. So this is one of the traps that I've modded. This is a Spirit Halloween trap that I've turned into a more realistic looking trap. And this is the one, by the way, that Adam Savage signed at the convention this week, just gone. So yeah, I have back to the aesthetic. So this used aesthetic, this distressing and other stuff that I've done on the pack, that is all stuff that I've added, and I want that vibe. I want that look and feel for what I'm going to do with this pack. So I'm not going to maybe add all of the additional changes from the Afterlife pack, but I'm going to make it look like an 84 pack that's been well used. But yeah, and I can't overstate how awesome it is, the fact that Adam signed this. And again, if you've not seen this before, if you're new to my channel, I love this trap because look, it smokes. Of course it does. Because if you've got a trap, it should be a smoking trap, right? That's the point of having one. And yeah. So there you go. And there's a whole video on my channel on how to mod a Spirit Halloween pack to make it like this one, to add smoke. And I have another video on how to mod a Spirit Halloween pack like this one, so the doors open and close remotely. There's a whole video on that, which is super fun to do. And we use both of these traps in a Ghostbusters Live experience that we created a few years ago. Gosh, the questions are coming in thick and fast. Let's see here. So I'm going to pick this up so I can read it properly. Okay. Ghostbusters 2 slime blower maker. I don't have a slime blower, but I'm going to assume from your name that you do. Tell me more. I'd love to see your slime blower. If you want to send me a photo of your slime blower, you can find me on Instagram. Experience Explorers on Instagram. Always happy to see the work that you folks that are on these live chats are doing for your own content, which is like super cool. Let's see. Jacob Rolf, cool. Thank you. Hunter, Ghostbusters. Sabrina, hi. Hi, Sabina, sorry. Apologies. Hi, welcome. Hunter, cool, nice. Jacob, cool. Sabina, I love Ghostbusters. Me too. Welcome. Welcome. It's good to have all of you new folks in chat. It's lovely to meet you all. Kaylee Moon, can it work? Do you mean for real ghosts? I wish. I wish. Tell me what you want to see working, and I will happily show you. Cool. TG Playtime, welcome back. Kirsty's asking, how am I going to install the lever under the ion arm? How am I going to install the lever under the ion arm? Oh, this is a great question. So on a spirit trap, a spirit pack, sorry, and I'm assuming you're talking about the spirit pack. On the spirit pack, the ion arm is quite weak. It comes off super easily. So I think that probably you'll be able to take the ion arm off, like this 3D printed one that I have here, and then do pretty much the same thing. You're gonna have to like melt out this section here. And what I was saying earlier, with if you're gonna use a soldering iron to melt plastic out of a factory, this is PLA, which is obviously 3D printed plastic. Plastic that's come out of a factory, if you melt it with a soldering iron, you've got to wear a respirator because that stuff's super poisonous, so you don't want to breathe any of that in. But I think that you're going to just follow the same approach that I'm following here, which is to basically, you know, insert the switch like so, and then have it all as one piece. And so now, hopefully all being well, I'll be able to fit this here, run these cables through this hole that I made to run the cables through. And then the idea should be, oh gosh, I've realized you can't see. Sorry guys. There we go. And then the idea is that this then needs to be screwed onto there. And then we'll have a working on and off switch for the Proton pack, which I'm kind of super excited about. That is the plan. That is the plan, folks. But I'm having this little issue, which is I'm going to call it a problemette, where you see the switch is not resting completely flat. So I've just got to do a little bit more work there. And the other thing I've got to do is just test that this wiring works before I settle on sticking this in position. So that's the last thing that I'm going to do now. Let's see what else people are asking in chat here. Sabina is saying lots of things. Rebecca, I would love to make something like this, but I just can't. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you feel like you can't make something. It feels like it's too far out of your experience. But you know what? I would always say, don't ever think that. Like, when you go to conventions, when I was at Ghostbusters Day, right, you see all sorts of quality of builds, of people making proton packs and things. You know, people that have made packs out of cardboard, that made them out of foam. And I think, and when he's the prop master on Ghostbusters Afterlife, we were talking about this, and we were saying that sometimes the best part of anything like this is the act of making it. Doing this bit, building it, is sometimes almost more fun than having it. And so, you know, if you make something and it turns out not great or not the way you want, it doesn't matter. Because there's something about that process that you will have learned from. And there's something about that process that just, I think, I mean, for me, it feeds my soul, is the best way for me to describe it. Building and making is such a satisfying process. And so I would always encourage you, if you feel like it's out of scope or it's something that you can't do, you know, don't let that stop you. I think it's only been in the last, I've always loved making things, but it's only been in the last couple of years that I've realized that there's this beautiful community of makers on the internet, right? Like I'm trying to do now, that are all about sharing their experience in building. And there's something really wonderful about that and being part of that community. And I didn't realize that they were my people until actually I read Adam Savage's book, Every Tool's a Hammer. and everything he was saying resonated with me so deeply. And I'm like, huh, this is why I think so weird. This is why my brain's like it is. This is why I think like a, you know, I'm not a crazy person. I'm a maker. That's who I am. That's what I am. So, you know, don't ever feel like you can't make stuff. Just try. Let's see. GB2 Slime Blower is saying, why was there a slime blower on the set of Frozen Empire? Well, because slime blowers are part of the canon of Ghostbusters. And if you've not seen the film, I'm sure you must have seen it. There's a scene in the lab where you see them using the blower, which is pretty cool. Jacob, I'm going to call the Ghostbusters in answer to your questions. Let's see, Kirsty, can you make a remote control trap? People have asked me about this before. So Ben is the one, Ben, who I interview on my channel again. And by the way, I should say this now: if you're new and you're liking this content, please hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. I would love for you to do that. But the quickest way to find the video I'm talking about is just subscribe to the channel, and you'll find the video of me talking to Ben Eady. And there's a whole story about the remote control trap. Really fun story about how Ben accidentally drove one of the traps under the wheel of the film car, which is pretty funny. Yeah, so you should definitely check that out. Let's see. Clay is asking me what lights I'm using. So actually, I need to replace the battery on these. I'm going to do that now while I'm answering your question, Clay. So I am using a set of lights.
Yeah, someone calling you. The actual. Oh my. Okay. I don't know.
I wish I could remember the video, but I watched it and it was a really, really good video. He's a guy that makes basically cool stuff out of things that you can find easily. And I thought it was great. So again, there's instructions out there on how to do that stuff. Jacob is giving me a cup, an award. Thank you, Jacob. Rebecca, yeah, carrying on that topic. Yes, Rebecca, I get where you're at. And I love the fact that you want to make it for your sister. I think that's awesome. I love that about that. Right. Let's see. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit confused and there's so many things here. Rebecca, can you guys hear me now? Somebody said that they can't hear me. Cortland Dragons. Yes, somebody's noticing the hat. Cortland Dragons, SUNY Cortland, which is also a Ghostbusters Easter egg, because if you watched Ghostbusters, you can which Ghostbusters? Brain, operate, thank you. If you've watched Ghostbusters Afterlife, it says that Venkman is working at SUNY Cortland, which is where this hat is from. Okay. Okay, I'm glad that you guys can hear. I don't know what was happening there. I don't know if that was a YouTube issue. I didn't change anything my end, so I don't know what was happening. So the sound messed up when I was explaining lights. Okay, I'll explain them again. So the lighting kit that's in this pack I bought from Etsy. And it's basically, there's lots of different types of lighting kits on Etsy that you can get. I'm just going to shut the garage door for a second because there's a very, very loud bird out there making a lot of noise, which is very funny. So yeah, so I got this kit from Etsy, and if I turn the pack over like this, you'll see on the back here where the lights are set. I've hot glued them in because I may want to repair them or replace them or upgrade them, and so hot glue is a fairly easy thing to take things in and out of. So anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to test my switch. So what I'm going to do is the original switch that was on here, let me just turn the camera a little bit here. I just wound these two wires together temporarily so they would act as a switch. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this, I'm going to temporarily, not permanently, connect these wires to the wires from the electronics to see if the switch that I spent all of this video making is actually going to work. Okay, so that will be wired up here. That is off, and that is on. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. I'm very happy right now. I'm very happy that this is working so well. That is great. So there's only one last thing that I need to do. I'm just going to disconnect these temporarily. What I need to do is, you see here, I mentioned before that there's this little gap here that I don't like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand this down a little bit more to make it as flush as I possibly can. And then that will mean that the switch will fit better. And then I'm gonna in advance, I'm gonna unplug my soldering iron because I do not need to solder anymore, and I do not want to burn myself. I'm gonna put it over here on the floor, out of the way. Hopefully you can still hear me. Especially because we had sound issues earlier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a hot glue gun ready to roll to hot glue this in. And we'll have that heating up, ready to roll in a little bit. Okay, so, as I said earlier, if you're enjoying this video and if you like this kind of thing, feel free to hit that little icon that sends happy emojis, and even better, hit the subscribe button, because there's a whole bunch more content like this on my channel in long form, not just these kind of videos. Right. So as I said, what I'm trying to do is just ensure that this whole thing sits flat. And one of the kind of, I'm not sure if I want to call it a design flaw, but it's maybe a little bit of one, is that is not sitting fully flush. And that's maybe partly my fault when I 3D printed it. But I'm just going to ensure that I've done everything I can to have this be as flush as it possibly can be. Like that. I think that is as good as we're going to get it. See there? So that's that. I'm actually quite pleased. Sorry, I wasn't showing you. I think that's pretty good. I'm quite pleased with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some hot glue in there and stick this thing down. Gamer God, hello, welcome. Big Brain Time, hello. Thank you. Welcome. Sorry, I'm a bit behind on the chat because I was focusing on what I was doing. Let's see, who's in the chat here? Gamer God, I just mentioned hello. Big Brain Time, hello, welcome back. It's nice to see you again. Christy's saying, how can I make the cyclotron lights move faster? So in this particular pack that I've got here, you can change the speed of them, which you can got. GB2 Slime Blowmaker is going. Goodbye. Thank you for joining. And Big Brain Time is saying, congrats on it working. Thank you. I appreciate it. This button has taken way more time than it should have done. George is saying, when I was younger, I used blue tack to connect wires. Yes, I've done that in the past. I have. Let's see. Big Brain Time saying it needs more likes. It does. Hit the like button, folks. Hit subscribe. You won't regret it. Let's see. Rebecca is saying, who is your favorite cameo? Sorry, I just realized I was sticking my face in the camera there. Sorry about that. You don't need to see that. Who's your favorite cameo? Oh dear. Ghost that appeared in Afterlife or Frozen Kingdom. Frozen Empire, I'm sure you mean. Mine was Slimer and those little stinkers, the baby marshmallow people. Yes. They were very cute and destructive. Yes, I agree with you. I think Slimer was my favorite cameo, and I do like the mini puffs a lot. Jose, welcome from Spain. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Galaxy. Hello, Galaxy. Welcome. The Green Kermit. Hello. Have you ever done a Doctor Who thing? Have I ever done a Doctor Who thing? Oh, yes, I have. I have indeed. I have. Oh my gosh. When I was a lot younger, I built a Dalek from Doctor Who, a Cyberman outfit. Whew! The whole thing. The whole thing. Yes, I loved those, particularly the OG series Doctor Who props. Maria, say a Phantasmia. Yeah, I think. I'm sorry, I don't speak. I'm assuming that that's Spanish or Portuguese, and I know Phantasma means ghost. But that's about as good as my Spanish is. I'm sorry. Stella Girl, am I in the UK? I'm not actually. I don't know why I'm leaning over like this. I could just move the camera like a normal human and actually talk to you. I'm not in the UK. I'm based in the United States, but I'm from the UK. Rebecca, yeah, Empire. She meant Empire. Yes. Brought back the Librarian too. I forgot about the Librarian. The Librarian's great. I really enjoy the Librarian. Okay. Hopefully it's better. I tried everything, so I even paused the broadcast and restarted it. Let's see. It's working now. Excellent. Okay, that's what we want to hear. Excellent. Okay, so cyclotron on the Spirit Pack. I don't know if you can do that. I'm saying I don't know how to do that because it will be in the electronics built into the pack. But I would definitely search on and Google it to see if there's an answer, because it wouldn't surprise me if somebody's found out how to do it. But it might mean that you have to literally replace the electronics, which, because they fade in and out on those things. But it could be, yeah, I don't have an answer for you. I'm sorry. What else are people saying? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, I'm glad that it's all working now. Excellent. That's good to hear. All right, let's hot glue this thing. Let's do it. Let's do it. Now we're back and we're fully working. Let's put the hot glue where the hot glue belongs. So, here we go. I am going to have to figure out how to best do this. This is not going to be tidy. And why are you using hot glue, Matt, when you could use an epoxy? That's a good question, actually. And I'm wondering now, partly, if I should use an epoxy in here. Because the reality is I'm going to epoxy this piece, this whole piece, to this anyway. So I think that I might use an epoxy. Let's do that. Let's do the whole thing. In fact, I can use an epoxy and I can epoxy this at the same time. And then the whole piece will be done, which will be amazing. And then I'm going to leave you for the day when I get to that point. So, okay, let's figure out what size screws we're going to need for this. I think these are going to need to be slightly bigger ones. And I bet that I'm going to find out that I haven't got them the minute that I need them. Let's look in my box of tricks here. So I got some screws this big. These are probably too chunky. I'm thinking maybe it does want these big ones. And of course, I don't have any. Of course I don't. Let's have a look on here. That looks like a 4mm to me. Let's see. Okay, I think I can get away with using these ones. But as you well know, and I mentioned this before, the challenge with the ion arm, and it was one of the great fixes that they made when they did Frozen Empire with the new version of the pack, is the ion arm is such a weak point on a pack. It just gets bumped into and falls off. And the Spirit Pack, it falls off all the time. Cool. So yeah, a couple of other comments here. Rebecca saying, I wish I'd brought back more like the Statue of Liberty. Yes, they did have a shot of the Statue of Liberty in the movie though. And Big Brag Time is, where did you get your hoodie from? My hoodie, I don't know if you've seen the sleeve here. This is all the logos from the Ecto. So I got this from Chicago at Wonderverse, and I think it is a unique to the Wonderverse shirt. I don't think it's available anywhere else. And actually, I have to thank Nick, who owned the Ecto 1NJ. He bought this for me. Thank you, Nick. And I have a black one, which Greg, the Ectotech, bought for me. So thank you, folks. I appreciate you buying those for me. Let's see. Kirsty saying, I wish they got the Hasbro pack. Yeah. Oscar, I do remember you, Oscar. Hello, welcome. Right. So, if I haven't got the right screws, folks, I may need to leave this until another day, which I think is what's going to happen. But what I will do, yeah, I think these are... I'm gonna struggle to cut it. Yes. So yeah, I think I think I'm going to have to leave that until I can get some slightly different screws. So apologies for that. But let's have a quick chat to finish this off, and then you can we can talk again. We can talk again next time. And thank you so many of you for joining. I really appreciate it. It's been really fun today. You know, if you just arrived and you're like, oh, I want more, there's a whole video on my channel about modding the Spirit Halloween trap to make it into a trap for like the movie. And this is my most recent Spirit Halloween trap mod, this one here, which I very much like. It is signed by Adam Savage. Apologies if I'm repeating myself, and you've seen that before. And this is my smoking trap, which is why I love it so much. And there's a whole video on my YouTube about how to do this. So if you like that stuff, I mean, that's a lot of smoke. But if you like that kind of thing, go check out my channel. I'm gonna be editing my experience at the Comic-Con, so you can see me meeting Adam, getting this trap signed. I also met Rainn Wilson, Dwight Schrute from The Office. Who else did we get to see? It was Star Wars Day, so Ashley Eckstein and the crew from the team from the Clone Wars cartoons were there, and also Aiden Christensen was there, and Rosario Dawson. So it was pretty cool. So all of that's going to be in the video that I'm going to be posting over the weekend. But yeah, I'll do another live stream. Hopefully there'll be another one. I'm trying to think, probably not next week, unfortunately, next Saturday, but the Saturday after, I'll do another live stream from the workshop. Or I'll try and find a time during the week to do one. It's getting super busy as it gets into the summer. There are a lot of things going on for folks. But thank you for joining, people. Really, really appreciate you guys being here. I love hearing your comments and your and stuff, and for being here on the chat. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, we'll see you next time. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed, now is the time to do it. And we'll see you again. And next time, hopefully that ion arm will be on and we can do the next step of the pack, because I'm excited for that. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you for joining. Please hit the subscribe button for more, and we'll see you again next time on the live stream.